Hello, everybody, and welcome into Senior Living Live. My name is Melissa. Thanks for being with us today. Our upcoming webinar is a good one if you or a loved one has been diagnosed with dementia. It is called Living with Dementia, and you will get to hear from some individuals who are doing just that, living with dementia every single day, the challenges that they face and ways that they have been able to minimize the effects of dementia in daily living. You'll hear their stories, and the good news is you'll be able to ask them questions. Now, this webinar will be hosted by the Arbor Company and Dementia Action Alliance. Jackie Pinkowitz from DAA is here with me now to preview this webinar, scheduled for May 11th at noon. Jackie, it is always a pleasure having you. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you so much, Melissa, for having me.
You bet, you bet. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, Jackie, and Dementia Action Alliance.
Okay. I was the primary caregiver for my mother and father-in-law, both of whom who were living with dementia. But I was also a teacher of special needs children. And therefore, I understood how important it was for them to remain involved in their communities. And a few years later, Karen Love and I, 25 years ago, co-founded the Dementia Action Alliance as an advocacy and educational organization. And we co-founded it to help people living with dementia, their care partners and others who really wanted to make our country a better place, where people who were living with dementia and their families would be accommodated, would be included, and would have purpose and meaning in their lives.
It is a great resource, and we tell everybody every single time we have this discussion about dementia in our webinars and our videos like this on Senior Living Live. It is a wonderful tool for families, for people who are living with dementia, which is why we have this webinar with you. We had one previously. It was such a wonderful success. And you know what was interesting? We had people who had either somebody, a loved one who was diagnosed with dementia, trying to understand it better. We also had a lot of care professionals and a lot of doctors who are also still in those kind of early stages of trying to understand this disease just a little bit better so that they can be better doctors and advocates for their patients.
Right.
So now this webinar is an opportunity for our viewers to hear about the day-to-day experiences of individuals living with dementia, as I mentioned. Can you tell us about some of the guests that we'll hear from?
Absolutely. First of all, I want you to know that we have an entire advisory board of individuals who are living with dementia, as well as some of them who are on our board of directors, because we need to ensure that their perspectives, their feelings are heard and included in whatever the DAA does. So guests that come and see this are going to hear from three incredible leaders who are living with dementia. The first one is Lori Scherer. She's an active member of our board of directors and the advisory board. She leads many drop-in with DAA sessions on Tuesdays and dementia discussions on Thursdays, and organizes Faith, Hope, and Love on Fridays. So she's a little involved. And she loves it. Chuck McClatchy is wonderful. He serves on our advisory board, and he hosts the heartwarming podcast series, This Dementia Life. Each month, Chuck interviews an interesting guest who is living with dementia, and all the podcasts are available for viewing on our website. The third person, Mark Timmons, serves on our advisory board and is a talented musician and artist, and photographer. And Mark just organized and led up in Massachusetts an AMVET Italian festival as a fundraiser for DAA. And we were up there. It was It was so warm and so wonderful. And we really were allowed to tell everyone at the festival how important it is to enable their families and friends who are living with dementia to have meaning and purpose in their lives and to be included in their communities, because it makes all the difference in the world.
And it's such a strong message. So
Yeah.
then on that end, when we talk about these wonderful individuals and what you're doing to get that knowledge out there, what are you finding are the most common misconceptions about individuals living with dementia? And what can viewers learn from this webinar when it comes to that?
Right. Sadly, the most common misconceptions are still those that I heard many years ago from my mom, my father-in-law, that people living with dementia can no longer function in their communities. And so they are isolated. And that is the worst thing that you could do to someone. In other words, a lot of people have an image, Melissa, that a person who's living with dementia is a very elderly person in a wheelchair. They can't speak, they can't do anything. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. This webinar will so help people understand. They will hear from multiple doctors and who will share the impact and the importance of changing our understanding of living with dementia, how important it is for our people to be in their communities, involved in something meaningful, and to continue to have a full life.
One interesting twist that we'll be adding to this particular webinar is we will be reviewing a film called Alzheimer's, What You Can Do. Tell us a little bit about this film and what people will see as we sort of break down clips.
I think it will be very, very interesting because it's very different than what a lot of people continue to imagine, that people have to be isolated and can't do anything. The clips are from a film called Alzheimer's, What You Can Do. Jacqueline Pogue is in fact, just a wonderfully creative producer and went through this entire film understanding that we wanted to show how changes in lifestyle, nutrition, exercise, and purposeful engagement can make such a difference in the lives of people who have been diagnosed with dementia. It will also be very interesting to your viewers to realize that the different people, the different families that they'll meet, they will also meet different doctors. And the doctors will be explaining different things that families can do to help their loved ones who have been diagnosed. And so we just want to understand that it's very different than it used to be. It's a word that frightens people. And what we hope that your visitors will recognize after listening to different doctors from across the country, hearing what they have to say and listening to some families who have been diagnosed and how it is helping them to take a new view, to understand that, with nutrition and with good sleep habits and with involvement in the communities, the way they choose to be involved can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that. And those clips we'll be able to view them during the webinar to give people an idea of what it is in case that they could jot it down and watch the full length movie after the webinar. But certainly the more resources, the better. And I think this is a fantastic one. And, you know, as always, Jackie, finally, as we start to wrap this up, we love teaming with DAA when it comes to discussions about dementia. It's such a wonderful organization. How can our viewers become a part of the DAA family if they have questions or they want to speak to you right now?
It's not that difficult, okay? First of all, they can certainly visit daanow.org, our website, and I think they will find so many resources and such interesting things. Most importantly, if they would like to speak to me, I will tell them to call me. My telephone number is 732-212-9036, and it would be my pleasure to speak to anyone that wanted to speak to anyone who wanted to just ask some questions or get a sense of DAA.
Perfect. Yeah, and there are quite a few people out there we find in our webinars. They just want to be heard. They want someone to hear them. They want some answers. They want ideas of what they can do to, especially when they're helping a loved one go through this. They want to be able to understand, better understand, and those questions and answers sessions certainly give them a better idea of what they can do the next time to have that sort of meaningful moment, meaningful engagement with a loved one. And Jackie, we just can't thank you all enough for everything that you do. Now, we will see your colleague, Jan Bays, who will be doing some of the hosting duties along with me for this webinar. Thank you so much for being with us, and we absolutely look forward to this webinar.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Take care.
Thank you. Now, if you're watching this and you want to be a part of it, it's easy to register. Just head on over to our website, www.seniorlivinglive.com. Feel free to check out the rest of our content while you're there. It is all about senior living, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We look forward to seeing you all May 11th.